I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to document this inspiration that I just came up with yesterday. I have needle and thread and will travel. So I'm in a hotel room, and you never know what inspiration might strike. So you bring a little bit of everything that you might want to work on. But today, this is going to be a jelly roll race type assembly for the back of my chicken scratch sampler. Also something I just kind of devised. I didn't know what to do with the different chicken fabrics that I wanted to use. I had a bunch of ink colors, reds and blues and yellows, creams, and then of course chickens. But I also had some black and white, gray and white, and I figured that would be a good back part of the quilt. So jelly roll race usually uses jelly rolls, or you make your own, which is what I'm doing right now. This is what I've cut so far. I have no idea. The lengths are different. It's not going to be strictly jelly roll. But here's a sample of what these are some of the gray and whites. And then you got this one. And it's more like the gray and white. Here's some of the darker one, which is more or less very similar, if not the inverse of this one. See, they kind of have the same motif. They came in a fat quarter bundle, so I just cut them into 2.5 inch strips. Although some of them I had started off making squares, like 8 or 9 inch squares. I forgot the size. So some of those 2.5 inch strips are shorter than the others, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to put them all together eventually. And at some point, because I have liked this motif for a while, sorry I keep getting above camera, but I have it angled this way so you can see the cutting. I like this motif and I had even bought it in yardage, but I can't find the yardage anymore, which is why I got the bundles, fat quarter bundles. I have a really good ruler size anyway. I don't know this brand. Nice Cho, but I don't think that's how it's pronounced. Nichico or Nisico, something like that. But it's a 2.5 inch. So it makes it really easy to cut jelly roll strips. And I'm left-handed. So that's what I'm going to do this way. Make sure I go all the way through using my newer blade. I don't have a sharpener with me. And after I cut all that and of the dark colors, then I'm going to sew these others end to end. And I forgot how they call it, where you don't stop and just pick up the next piece and start again. You sew one end to the next, and then chain piecing, that's what it's called, chain piecing. And I wanted to make a point to say that Scott and Tiffany from Tiffany's Quilting Life were very helpful in improving my cutting with just the simple question I asked, because I don't know if anybody else has ever chipped the side of your rulers with your rotary cutter. So I don't go straight down anymore. I do it at an angle, and it has made all the difference. So I'm going to do a bunch of cuts right now, and if I figure out how to edit, I'll fast forward through this, but that's lofty ambitions for somebody who has no idea how to do those things. folded in a way that makes it a little thick, but usually, if I was using my martelli, I can go through all of these layers with no problem, but I'm just trying to maximize how much I cut at a time. With jelly rolls, I've seen different ways with the same goal in mind to have one long strip, and some people like to put accent tiles between each strip, especially if you've got different colors. The first jelly roll quilt top I made was in variations of pink, and I put all the same colors or same fabric together, and then no accent pieces, and I just did the actual fold it in half, cut it, sew it, fold it in half, etc. So I think I'm going to do it that way on this because it was the simplest way, because I feel adding those accent squares right now might be more steps that I want to do, because I'm already having to cut my strips, so I don't want to have to add cutting smaller squares. I do have 2.5 inch squares for another project, so I brought that as well, but I don't think I'm going to do those today. That's the Starburst I think I saw that on with Jenny Doan on Missouri Quilt Company, and she did it in this beautiful kind of a marigold, burnt marigold color as the focal, I guess you would call that the focal or the background print, and then the other pieces were the same color themselves. But for that one, which I'll do, maybe I'll do a different video on it. These aren't tutorials, I'm learning as I go. It might be to see what I'm doing wrong so I can learn from my mistakes, which is all we all should do, right? Anyway, those have 2.5 inch squares, and then it has 2.5 inch wide strips with an angle at it, so you get your points on the stars. But I'm going to try that at another time. It's too ambitious to do it today, especially because I worked last night, and it's, what time is it? It's 1:45. So I may have to do this in pieces, just do cutting right now, and then get to my bed. Dang it. Sorry for the background noise. This is the time when people are supposed to be checking out and getting the rooms ready for the next guest. I don't have a microphone. I don't have any fancy equipment. I'm just doing this by not only the sewing trial and error, but the geography. So, I'm excited about the back of this quilt. It could be like a reversible quilt, I suppose. You can have the pretty colors on one side, and then your neutral black and white on the other. Or black, grays, and white. Kind of a cream off-white, I guess. But I'm going for kind of a rustic look with the sampler. And so the prints for the sampler, maybe I didn't make the right choices, but this is all an experiment, if you will. But I decided to call it chicken scratch. I think it works on so many levels, you know. When you're learning to write, or if you don't write well, you write in chicken scratch. Likewise, I'm sewing in chicken scratch, but I'm using really pretty fabrics. So for the top of the quilt, this is the first black I did, and I cannot remember the name of it. I posted it on Tiffany's Quilting Life Facebook group, but the tutorial I did this from was Becca Sews, and it was block 1 of a sampler that she was doing. But you can see chickens, and I'm pretty proud of this. It's the first time I've ever done this block, and it is not perfect, but it is like right there you can see points don't quite match. Somebody's trying to get in, but they don't know I'm not leaving right now. So that's one. Here's the other, and this is what I'm talking about with the busier prints. I should have just used a solid for the center line, but this was Homeward Bound, I think. That was block 2 that Becca Sews did, and it's chickens. There's this half square triangle has mostly blues in it, and then the alternating pieces have mostly reds. But it was good to practice, and I'm still going to use it. It's still going to keep you warm if you use it right. And this was the third one, and I don't know what any of these are called without looking it back up, but it's just a 4-patch with half square triangles, and I haven't put the whole block together. There's the top 2, and the bottom 2 are the same. So all of them are in the same orientation. So basically it looks like that. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if that's where the front camera was, but it is now. And that's just some of the prints. I got this cute little red, black, and white plaid, and I got this more of the same motif of the black and white, but in color. Then I got the chicken wire background, and then I got milking. I like this because it has the grays on it on one side, part of it, like the back of the quilt will have, and then it's got the cream like the front will have. I'm not sure how I'm going to use this yet, but it might frame some of these squares that didn't come up to the size I meant for them to. But I'm learning. It's all ad lib for at this point. And you can't have a farmhouse motif without a tractor. And a windmill. Where's my windmill? There it is. There's the windmill. So that's the front of Chicken Scratch. Okay, back to cutting my strips, because they won't cut themselves. Oh, that's much better. See, did it at an angle and it didn't scrape the ruler at all. So now that I've been traveling with my sewing stuff, I've gotten pretty good at packing it and unpacking it. Finding the time to use it is a little bit of a different story. But like anything that you want to do, you have to make time, right? Make it work. There we go. I'm curious how this is going to turn out, especially because I don't have exact same lengths of each piece. I think it'll be fun. Jelly roll races are fun, because after you get all the pieces end to end, you're more than halfway done, at least with that side of the quilt. There we go. What do these say? One says Honeybee Organics. One says Farmer's Market. Lazy Spoon Breakfast Eatery, Lucky Lubbock Creamery, the Highland Cattle Company, the Fancy Pig Delicatessen, Happy Chicken Dream Farmhouse, Cheesery, Live Simply, the Rustic Pantry, and Juicy Jack's in a Tomato. I think that's all of them. It's actually kind of making me hungry for a BLT. This would actually make a cute apron too, this print. I have no idea what this finished size will be whenever I do finish it. Maybe I'll update. Who knows, this might not even see the light of day. This is for my amusement. I usually amuse myself. So, there's that. What other projects did I bring? So I've got the Starburst, or whatever it's called, chicken scratch. Oh, I have a lavender rail fence variation I'm doing. So I did use Jelly Roll. It was so much nicer. It had 5 different prints, but each block has 4 of the strips. And basically I used a pattern meaning a sequence, not a pattern like a quilt pattern. Strip 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3, 4, 5, 1, and 4, 5, 1, 2, and 5, 1, 2, 3. And I have the first 4 rows, each row sewn but not sewn to each other, and then the rest of it I forgot the orientation of how I was laying it out, so I have to step backwards, work myself backwards and identify the pattern I initiated as far as laying out pattern, because as with the rail fences I've seen, one's vertical, the next horizontal, or whatever, and you alternate those. So I've done that, but I can't figure out what, I know which row is the first row, and I kind of think I've got the second and third rows correct, but I'm not quite sure, because it's also possible that when I put those rows together I got distracted. Me? Distracted? Well, always. So I may not have put them in the order they were meant to be, so I gotta go back to the drawing board on that, or just throw it all to the wind. And like I said, things are ad lib, and see how it turns out. I know one layout I initially tried and I took a picture of was immediately vetoed, because the first thing I saw was a symbol that is unfortunately not one I want to advertise, and I'll leave that to your imagination. It's not a symbol I care for as far as the connotations it has, but at the risk of causing harm or injury or insult, I just decided not to do that layout. I will lay it out in a more random way. Planned randomness. Does that make sense? Planned randomness. Because it's not going to look, depending on how I do end up getting it laid out, it's going to be an array of different colors. I could show you those too. I don't want to bring the rows over here. I have them laid out nicely. But this is the strip 1. So this should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, that's not right, because this is 5. I do remember that. So this is 3, 4, 5, 1. This is number 2. So this will be 2, 3, 4, 5. See how they go like that? So this is actually the order of the 5 strips. the white background with the lavender flowers, this lighter purple, lighter dark purple with cream flowers, pink flowers, lavender flowers, kind of a tie-dye, but that's what came in the jelly roll. So basically I'm going to have them alternating orientations, vertical and horizontal, but I want to have like a secondary pattern appear. At first I was calling it split tees or something, spilt tea, because the way I had laid it out that I liked, and I can't remember how it was, the different blocks of 4, when these 8-inch blocks were laid out, every 4 patch of these blocks had one of these strips perpendicular to the block next to it, and it created L's and T's. And so, follow my logic here, it makes sense to me anyway. Rail fence, there's things called split rail fence, and then the T's on there, so I could call it spilt tea, which is a different spelling of split, sort of, right? I don't know. Nothing's hard in stone. I might change my mind before this is ever finished and just do something very uniform. But I have 5 different versions of this block because of the way I numbered them, and I've got to figure out how to lay them out. And it's going to be, I think it was 8 across, I think, or maybe it was 8 down and 5 across. I don't remember. We'll figure it out. I don't even remember how many I have. Another project I brought that I'm excited to pursue is making bags. My project bag that I take my smaller sewing things in if I want to hand sew, or if I just want to cut some things. I made that. I made it 75% bigger than the tutorial measurements, and I cannot remember the video. It's saved in my own playlist, so I'll have to come back and find it to say what it is. But the size for a handbag was nice, and it had pleats sewed into the front and the back of it, so it was kind of this shaped with the pleats. But I wanted to make it bigger so I could carry the cutting pad, mat, whatever this is called. I also thought I would add a divider in the middle of it, which turned out okay, except I had already sewn it in when I added the pleats, and I did not account for the liner being pleated. So while the divider is present, I pleated it to the front side of the bag. So inside there's one huge triangular pocket like this, and the opening's that big, so I can't really use that space. And on the sides, the opening is about that big, and it goes down into a point, and I can't use those. I'm going to have to pick that out, but I haven't really felt motivated to do that. And I think I can still do that and then replete the part I unpick, for at least just the outside part. It's really not going to be that hard. It just seems like a chore. But because I can take without undoing the sewn sides, all I have to do the pleats is pull that part aside and fold it to paint it. What am I saying? To pleat it. All right, all of the light ones now are cut, and now to do the dark ones. I think it'll be quicker, hopefully, because it's not as much fabric. Let's see, these these have a little bit different things. Fancy Pig, that was there. The Barn Works. Live Simply was there. Highland Cattle Company was there. Rustic Pantry was there. That's about, oh, I didn't see this one. A Bushel and a Peck. I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck. If you haven't heard that before, count yourself as, what's the word? You missed out, is what I'm trying to say. So let me put these. These are fat. I didn't know I had this many fat quarters of this same one. Goodness. So I have yardage on it. Are any of you like me? I'm sure you can say yes on this specific aspect. I'm going to make that thinner because it's too much at once. You see something you like and you get it. You put it aside because you know you'll use it later, or you like it and you're not sure for what. And then months go by, oh, you see this fabric and you like it. And then rinse and repeat. So I think I have gotten this fat quarter bundle 3 or 4 separate occasions, it looks like, based on how many of these I'm cutting. Try and line them up. So yeah, that'll be good. That'll be better. Cut the selvage, not salvage, selvage off. On left-handed, I have to kind of turn this sideways. I can do it with my right hand. I just, it's not as strong. I'm not as steady with that one. And I don't like bringing the blade towards me. I'm very accident prone. But the most I've hurt myself with a rotary cutter is just on my fingertip. Yeah, see, I can't get the angle right, and I got a plastic splinter off of it from, golly, I hate sawing it back and forth because I get all these thread crumbs. There we go. Well, I'm talking just mostly to myself because if I fast forward this, you're not going to hear it anyway, are you? And this is the boring bit of cutting. I guess I won't fast forward. I'll have to see how painful it is to hear it back. Oh, good. That worked perfect. Guys, this is really getting big. Look at all that. I'm almost done with this cutting. If I think about it, I'm almost done with the whole quilt. It's overwhelming, so I just think about the immediate goal, which is to cut my strips. It's too bad I can't take the sewing machine to work. That probably would be bad. But chain piecing would be something simple to do. You know, it's not like you can't stop what you're doing to go do something. Because it's just sewing end to end and then going through and cutting it all. This might be overly ambitious on size, but you know, I am going to put all of it together. And I'll try to remember to measure the length because I measured it on my first Jelly Roll race with the variations in pink, but I forgot to write it down. So I wanted to impress myself later. I want to say it is, I don't know, $2,000 something. And then after I got it to a reasonable size, folding it in half each time, and until it was a reasonable, I think about a full size almost, or a little more than that. Then I just squared it off, and I haven't put the backing on it. The backing for the variations in pink, Jelly Roll Race, is going to be a piece that I thrifted. If you don't thrift, for whatever reason, just consider it. You might have good reasons, and there might be reasons that don't matter to others. Your reasons matter yours, so that's what matters to you. But I have found so much fabric that was actually meant for sewing, like quilting or whatever, crafting of any sort, but I have used sheets. My planned design wall is going to use a king size gray flannel sheet once I get it hung, so I can just lay these out there instead of being on the floor or whatever. That's usually how I've done it. I did have a temporary clothes rack, you know, those you can get on wheels when you're short on space and you can just hang up things. One little piece. And I had pinned some quilt tops on as I was going there, but I had one quilt I pin basted in the floor, and I'm going to have to undo it because it's been moved so many times. I think things have shifted. That is my Pargello quilt that I'm talking about, that I call Galaxy, because I used a lot of prints or colors that made me think of outer space. And it was first inspired by the Aurora Borealis. Haha. And I'll have to show you guys that sometime, and maybe I'll do that. That's another one using strips. So I really like quilting or sewing with strips because there's so much you can do with it. The Galaxy one is for my son. Then I have kind of a sampler one from my daughter. It's really more ad-lib than this is even, because I just used whatever I had that was within her color scheme. And then, but the focus of the front is a piece that I sewed for her, an hourglass block. I didn't know that's what it was called, but it's only a 2-inch square block. But I sewed that to try to learn how to make a quilt 20 years ago. And then I never had time, so got rid of all of my fabric. But she was able to salvage that one. See, that is salvage, not selvage. And when I wanted to get back into sewing, she asked me to make her a quilt with that piece. So it is literally the center of the top. This is scrap, and I've got a place for that. Okay, last bit of the darks. Oh my goodness. So tomorrow, or maybe before I go to work tonight, I will try to do some piecing. Chain piecing. On the back, going back to the topic of strip quilts or strip sewing, strip piece sewing, on the back, I had, I think, 3 or 4 pieces from that I had made to incorporate in the front that I didn't have room for. So I made that the center piece on the back, and
I had come across on, I think, Facebook Marketplace. Some people have curated from their stash stuff they wanted to get rid of, and they would advertise it as home curated charm packs or layer cakes. So they were anything goes, nothing specifically coordinated except maybe in one or two circumstances. So I had anything and everything you can imagine on a fabric, including things from licensed fabric lines. I don't want to name them because I don't want to impinge on anything I shouldn't. Learning these rules as I go, as with everything else. I don't like this one. I can't go this way. To holiday prints, to just other various whimsical things. So I made, you can call it either a potato chip or receipt roll, but it looks like a giant jelly roll because I just rolled it and rolled it and rolled it. We have some bricks or potato chip size things, maybe, what'd you say, that's 4 inches on average. Some of them are shorter or longer than others. To the way we're doing it because it made sense to me. So as I said before, I'm doing this in a hotel. The dresser is a little higher than I would want for a cutting table. I had to get on my tiptoes to get the right pressure so I don't let the ruler slip. The desk is perfect for my very simple brother machine. It's a decent machine for a beginner. I'm only a little bit more than a beginner now. A couple years in. And the only thing I have finished are bold cozies and a bandana for a puppy. And some other kind of things. I did do some hot pads too, but it's all in that same vein. The closest I've come to finishing a quilt is the Galaxy, and my daughter's nearly finished quilt back, which I'm doing basically the potato chip with receipt tape. I just roll it out, pin it or clip it, and then sew down that length. Then I keep going around and around until it's the right length and width to match the front. And hers really is nearly done as far as the front and the back go. And then the variation of pink is the sheet from thrifting. So I probably have over $1,000 worth of fabric, and did not pay nothing like that much for it. Nothing that much. That was poor grammar. You'll have to forgive me. It's my bedtime. Nothing close to that, though, is what I didn't pay close to that. I think I can get 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit more left over for the scraps. So 4. That'll do for today. Part 1. Bit. Chicken scratch jelly roll. Base. What do you do when you're traveling and you want to take your sewing? I've got my homemade project bag, my beginner model brother, and that makes it easier. Because I certainly could not imagine toting my combo machine, even if I had the carrier that Baby Lock makes for it. I can't imagine toting that thing. It is heavy. And I don't know how to protect the embroidery arm. Oh, I didn't do that right. I don't know if you heard that click. That was not the right angle. Last one. Missing the last 2 layers. Note to self, pack more blades. Yeah, it's getting a little nicked.
Okay. I'm going to dream of chicken scratch. Let's see how this goes.